Hey YouTube, my name is Alex Botton. I'm a filmmaker and a cinematographer and I'm a camera operator. And on this channel we talk about all things cinematography, filmmaking and analog film. And today we're talking about 10 things that I wish I knew when I first started shooting film. Now this is pretty 35mm film specific, not necessarily 16mm or analog filmmaking.
But if you're into that, I've got a couple of breakdown videos on my channel on some 16mm projects that I've shot that I've linked to below.
Film is incredibly rewarding, but also an incredibly heartbreaking medium to work in. Here's 10 things that I wish that I knew when I first started shooting film. Number 1, your first 5 rolls will most likely suck. At least for me they did. I think if you go in with this mentality, it's a healthy mentality to have. It's not anything that's meant to be negative, but I think that the reason is that if you go in expecting your first 5 rolls to suck, and you get some really nice images that come back from that, that's a pleasant surprise. If you go in expecting your first 5 rolls to be this change of photography for you, and it's not, which it probably won't be, then it can be really heartbreaking. And that's film in a nutshell. It can be really heartbreaking, it can be really rewarding, but just get ready for your first 5 rolls to suck. And then you'll grow from there, you always do. Number 2 is limit your choices. This is huge in shooting film. Choose one black and white roll that you like, choose one color roll or that your friends like, and then just use those as your 2 different film stocks. Shoot 5 to 10 rolls on each of those, develop them, and then learn from your mistakes. For anyone that's looking for some suggestions, I would suggest going with Kodak Gold 200 as your color film and HP 5 for your black and white because they're cheap and they're good. That's the basic premise.
It's also worth mentioning that these are 2 of the companies that are left that are making film. So in buying these films, you're supporting film and you're also getting fresh film, which means that it's going to be new and it's going to have less blemishes and less likelihood that it's going to be a bad roll.
The more distractions that you have, the more you're going to sort of muddy the process of image making. If you have 5 or 6 different black and whites, if you have 5 or 6 different colors that you're working with when you're first starting out, it's really, really hard to pinpoint down where you went wrong and how you're able to make things better because there's so many variables at play. If you just have 1 roll of color and 1 roll of black and white that you really like, just rinse and repeat that process until you start honing in your skills, can identify what it is that you like and don't like, can improve upon that, and then you can start playing around with different colors and different black and white film stocks. Number 3, don't shoot expired film. Expired film is, in my opinion, a waste of money. Film is expensive as it is. It's something that you spend a lot of money buying the film, a lot of money buying the cameras, a lot of money developing the film, a lot of money processing it and scanning it, and then once you get it back, the last thing you want is for it to just be all washed out crap. You know, expired film is stuff that other people don't want. They're selling it because it is heat damaged or it's old and it's just been sitting in a warehouse somewhere. Go buy new film. It'll be way more predictable. You'll have way better results. You support the film industry, you support the labs, and you'll just be happier when you get it back because it does what you want it to do. Point number 4, consider a point and shoot film camera. Point and shoot cameras are basically taking all those variables that I spoke about before out of the equation. If you shoot on a point and shoot, and if you're new to photography, then it makes all of the variables much more simple. If you don't speak photography at all, if you're not coming from a digital platform, all of a sudden you don't really have to think about shutter speed, you don't have to think about aperture. Basically you just do what it is that you're doing already. You have a film camera that you take with you, you press the on button, you press the shutter button, away you go, and you get a bunch of images that you're going to be happy with, and you'll see better results quicker than if you're dialing in all of these manual settings. The next point is spend money on your first analog camera. The fact of the matter is, like I said before, film is awesome, film is rewarding, film can be heartbreaking. And one of the ways to remove this heartbreak is to get a camera that you know works. There's nothing worse than going to a thrift store, seeing this awesome little camera that you like, and buying it, putting a roll of film through it, which costs you 20 bucks, developing it, which costs you 20 bucks, getting the scans back and seeing there's light leaks through all of it, and also not to mention that the summer trip that you went on is now ruined because you don't have any good photos to show. A camera like this, the Nikon FM2, it's expensive, but I know 2 things. I know 1 is that the odds are it's going to work because it's a fully manual camera. And then the second thing is, if I don't like it, I can sell it for pretty much what I paid for it. Maybe if I've banged it up and made it, you know, less usable, then sure, it'll depreciate. But the fact of the matter is, if you spend money on a camera, there's a good chance that you're going to be able to get a return on investment if you don't like it. And also you can just spend money recycling through different cameras. You know, you can shoot this if you don't like it, or even if you just want to change it, sell it, move on to something else. And your investment is kind of the same. You're just buying and selling different cameras. You'll get something that you know works, and then if you don't like it, you can always sell it for what you paid for it. Now the next point is definitely something that I wish I learned earlier when I was shooting film, and that is spend money on film, not on cameras. I've been shooting film since 2006, but I've had a lot of cameras, and if I had my time again, I wish that I would just spend way more money on film. Every time I was going to buy a camera, I'd probably spend $150, $200 on a camera. but $150 to $200 on film goes a really long way, and then you're practicing photography, not collecting cameras. Shoot a lot of film to start because it's how you get good. If you're putting rolls through your camera and developing and scanning, you're going through that process and the cycle that is analog photography, because the more you can go through this process, the more you'll get through all the sort of hiccups and the teething issues that are inevitable when you first start shooting film. And that brings me to my next point. Shoot your friends. Shoot doing what you love. Bring a camera with you to the things that you love doing and shoot that, because it's going to be the most organic way of getting into film photography. If you pick up a film camera and then go to a sports game, you never go shoot sports, it's not going to feel particularly engaging because it's not something that you're used to. If you go on camping trips a lot and you buy a film camera, take it camping because it's a world that you're familiar with, it's going to be exciting, and you're going to get film back from this world that you see quite literally through a different lens. And it's exciting and inspiring, and it'll get you back into the process of shooting. It'll mean that you want to keep doing it. And I think most importantly, it'll come easier to you. Now, I know this one might seem counterintuitive because film is very expensive, but don't develop your own film to start. I love developing film. I've taught a lot of my friends how to develop film, but to start off with, don't develop your own film. Buy film, shoot it, give it to someone who knows what they're doing, because to start off with, it's about removing all the variables that can potentially make you make bad images. Everything is new. There's so much that could go wrong. Get comfortable with the process of shooting film, and then you can start to develop your own film. Choose a camera that is special to you. Now, a lot of people don't care about gear. I think that there's some people that just want to make images all the time, and I wish I was one of those people, but I really like to have a connection with the cameras that I use. I think that it's a really important point about you wanting to shoot. And a good way to do this is just go to a camera store, go to an old film store, someone that sells used cameras, and just pick up a bunch of cameras and play with them and see what feels good in your hand and what feels good to you, because ultimately the camera that you want to pick up and shoot with is the camera that you're going to shoot with a lot.
Personally, for me, a big part of the appeal of film cameras is that the objects themselves are beautiful. They're classic looking and they're mechanical and they're tactile. And if the camera brings me joy, I'm much more likely to take it outside with me. If I have a camera with me, then I'm shooting more. And if I'm shooting more, then it's much more likely that there'll be a good photo in there somewhere.
Choose something that you connect with, that you feel like is a camera that you're going to leave the house and be like, I'm going to take that camera with me today and I'm going to shoot some photos. And my last point is start cataloging your film properly from day one. I have probably 8 binders scattered between where I live now in Canada and Australia back at home. And there's some black and white in some, there's some color in some, there's some holidays in some, there's some work stuff in the other, and I don't know what anything is. If you can properly catalog your photos from day one, it will be monumentally valuable to you later on. So please, catalog your stuff properly. Anyway, that's it for me today. Just a quick one. It's some stuff that I thought I would get off the top of my head, and a lot of people have been talking to me about film. I've kind of found myself talking to a lot of friends about different things like this, and I found myself giving different advice to different people as well. So I thought I'd package it, put it out into a YouTube video for the world, and just make a quick one about shooting film and some things that I wish that I'd learned sort of earlier on in my career. But I love film. If you have any questions, please ask me anything. I have been shooting film for quite a long time now.
There is so much to talk about here, and I'm sure I've missed a ton of stuff. So let me know what you think those things are in the comments, and I'll make sure that I do a follow-up video.
Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. It goes a really long way to help the algorithm find you, and it helps me out to want to keep making these videos as well. So if you enjoy filmmaking and cinematography and anything analog film, then subscribe, give it a like, tell your friends, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.